All right, looks like we may be on now. No sound, D.
That's a direct order. Do it now.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We are Roll Call Black, White, and Blue for Better Relations. Today is May 15th, 2025. I'm here with Derek, Tyrone, Dave, Mark, Will, Jerry, and D. And I think others will be coming on, but we'll move on as they come on. We want to start with a moment of silence. Introduction with our moment of silence. All right, amen. And listen, y'all have to excuse us on D. That did not come through loud enough. It came through kind of low. I don't know what just happened there. Um, we're gonna move on anyway. We're gonna have Miss Jerry. Miss Jerry gonna read our disclaimer, and Derek gonna give us our statement of purpose.
Hello, thank you for joining us today. Please note the comments and expressed concerns made by members of the Roll Call, Black, White, and Blue for Better Relations herein Roll Call panel are the opinions of the individuals and not offered or intended to be legal advice, recommendations, or suggestions for our listeners and or our observers. Remember that the laws are very different all over the United States. Everything's different everywhere. This panel may display graphic videos or photographs that are integral to spark our discussion. These videos or photographs are not intended to offer any viewer or listeners, to offend any viewers or listeners. A panel member will give notice to the audience as to its nature prior to displaying any graphic or sensitive video or photograph. Any graphic content displayed during the panel discussion has been obtained and shared from public social media platforms and are not the property of Roll Call. The language used by members of Roll Call and guests is spontaneous, and it is uncensored and not intended to offend our audience or any of us.
Thank you, Jerry. Derek?
All right, and Black, White, and Blue for Better Relations. We assemble weekly to disseminate information to our viewers and the general public in the best manner that we can. As Jerry stated, it's done by video and by commentary. The videos do not belong to us, but the commentary does. And though we do not always agree, we respect each other's opinions. We all for Black Lives Matter, and we all for equitable policing.
That's it in a nutshell. That's it in a nutshell. Thank you so much, Jerry, and thank you so much, Derek. As you see, I'm starting to use different persons in our group to do different things because everyone here is qualified to do anything that anyone else is doing. My role is to lead the discussion, but as you can see, in the last few weeks, we've had others lead the discussion because every last one of us know how to say, Don, what you have, Will, what you have, Ty, what you have. So it's really that simple. But we like to keep it moving. I want to thank Ruth Caffey for joining us. Donald Coleman, I see you guys have joined us. I see Beverly Wells have joined us. My wife has joined us. Marcus Diggs has joined us, and Elliot Smith has joined us, and a few others that I cannot see has joined us. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be with us on Thursdays. Then I want to thank those on the panel for joining us as well, because you could be doing anything. And I see Daryl Aiken has joined us. Now, Daryl Aiken was supposed to be on the panel with us a few years ago. I don't know what happened. Yeah, a few years ago. And he kind of like slipped away from us. But Daryl, we're praying for you. We're praying for you because I did speak to you the other day. I know your mother is not doing well, so we're praying for you and your mother. We're praying for JT, his wife Orlando. We're praying for Cheech and Anna. We're praying for AC and Jeanette, Jamel and Sharon, Melba and her son. And we're praying for Isabel, one of our very own. I'm sorry, Rich is not with us right now because he's with his wife in the hospital or the doctor. So we're praying for Rich and Isabel right now. All right. How y'all want to get started today? Do we have a video, D?
Yeah.
Let's go with the first video. I don't even know what it is, but set us up. Set us up.
Well, this is Derek's video, so he'll probably have more information than I do. It's it says police arrest a man after slamming him into the ground and gets instant karma. I'm gonna start it from the 17-minute. Derek, you tell me if you need more. All right.
Nope, that'll be good. It'll go into the video in about 8 seconds.
Gotcha.
On swearing the badge of the law, he now has to learn to respect it from behind bars. You might think this case is shocking enough, but wait until you hear about the next one in Orange County. It will show you what true astonishment is. On July 7th, 2019, a body camera video from the police captured the entire process of a controversial arrest in Orange County. The incident began when the police approached a man standing near a vehicle in the area. According to the police, the man appeared suspicious and moved hastily when they got closer.
All right. How you doing? Good, man. You ain't got no weapons or nothing? You want to come over and talk to me real quick? You got out kind of quick. Nah, man, so, and then you backed out, and you went back over here, you backed in. I just make sure you're not drunk or something.
No, I'm looking for stuff in my car.
Man, I'm gonna make sure you ain't got no weapons. Can I pat you down real quick? All right, man. I just want to check you out, make sure everything's okay, man. I saw you back. You were about to turn out on the road, and then you backed up. Where you trying to go, man? All right, dude. I just make sure it wasn't a freaking AK back there or anything, sawed off, nothing like that, right? You ain't got kilos, bricks, birds back there, and nothing like that.
Bird, well, if it was a bird, it'd be flying in the air, right? Birds fly in the air, right?
Some, yeah. Okay, so, but nothing bad in the car today, man? All right, any narcotics in the car today? A little bit of weed? No paraphernalia?
Paraphernalia.
Nothing like that, okay.
The police demanded to search the car without cause, continuously questioning the man even though he showed no signs of wrongdoing. When he refused, they increased the pressure. But that was not the worst part.
Have you been arrested in Baytown before, man?
No, I haven't.
Have you ever been arrested before or anything? Did your driver license through Texas? I was waiting on you, man. I was waiting on this return real quick. Okay. So while I'm waiting on the return, is it cool if I make sure nothing bad in the car today? Okay. Yeah, no, you're right.
I don't have a problem.
Hey, you mind if I check your pockets, make sure you ain't got nothing? I can? I'll make sure, man.
I got a little mace can.
Okay, I'm gonna grab that so I don't get. Not saying you will.
You totally searched my car. I mean, what's going on?
What do you mean? I search it. Yeah, you go ahead and search. What do you not understand, sir? Hey, I'm gonna put your pepper spray back here. Ain't nothing to it, man. No need to be tripping or nothing. Honestly, you're nervous. I'm seeing some nervous behavior. Checking you out, man. You gave us consent to
I don't have
search.
any warrants, right?
No, but hey, you said, oh, this is consensual. You're staying here. You gave us consent to search. Well, yeah, we're gonna search it. You know, I mean, and we haven't found nothing in there.
I got insurance, everything. What's
Okay,
going on?
and what does that have to do with
So
anything?
when am I free to go?
Whenever, man.
Not stopping there, the police also insisted on searching the man without any evidence of a crime. When he showed signs of nervousness, they immediately took it as resistance rather than respecting his rights. Was this just a misunderstanding? Or was there something more behind it?
All right, put your hand in my back.
What happened?
Don't tense up, dude. Oh, freaking drop you.
What's going on?
Put it behind your back.
What's going on? I'm not doing it.
You know,
Oh, sir, I didn't know that. Put your hand behind your back. No, sir, please don't kill me, sir. You're killing me, sir. You're gonna kill me.
That's it. Danger deployed. What? Watch out. Come get me. Danger. Put your hands on your back.
No, sir, please don't. You're killing me.
When the man continued to express his disagreement with being searched, the police used a taser on him without any warning or reasonable justification. They then quickly subdued and handcuffed him, despite the fact that he had not shown any violent or serious resistance.
No, sir.
Put your hands behind your back. Relax.
relax.
Stop pulling away.
Relax.
Give me that fucking arm! Hey, man, give him your arm, dude. You're fucking bleeding your ass off. Give him your arm. All right. Let him, give him just a little bit so he can get his arm. Roll him my way. Roll him up, face up. All right. Give me your arm, man.
The incident immediately raised concerns about police abuse of power and excessive use of force. Many civil rights organizations spoke out, demanding an independent investigation to clarify the legality of these actions. Police brutality and abuse of power erode public trust and violate human rights. We must demand accountability, transparency, and justice before more lives are harmed. Hey guys, what do you think about this situation? If you like the video, don't forget to like, subscribe.
All right, I see a couple of hands. That's enough to make you real angry. That's enough to make you real angry. Let me go ahead with Dave and then Derek.
Yeah, man, I'm furious right now, man. I mean, that brother was standing there, you know, he was annoyed, but he had every right to be, but he was calm and go listen to the commands. For what? I don't know, because he didn't do anything wrong. And well, what got me was he said, okay, you can search, but they ran his name and everything like that, and nothing's coming back. And then the brother says, when am I free to go? And the guy says, right now. Next thing you know, he's getting barbecued on the ground with a taser. Okay, this behavior, every one of those cops should be locked up, state charges and federal civil rights violations, every one of them. Okay, and they should let me put the taser to their ass and see if they put their hand behind their back when I do it.
And calm down.
Exactly. You calm down when you're getting barbecued. Okay. Let me put it on them. Okay. All of those. First of all, man, I'm just disgusted, man. I'm disgusted, and I hope that guy gets whatever amount of money he wants. Period. I'm done.
Whew. Derek and D.
Yeah, we over the course of, I don't know, the last probably 15, 20 years have been witnesses to the devolvement of police work. When we all became police officers, we went out, we patrolled. If someone committed a crime, and if we either saw them or we were pointed in the direction of them, you know, via word of mouth, probable cause, we arrested people that committed crimes. And I think because of the capitalistic part of police work now, the revenue building part, I think many officers now, and maybe I shouldn't say many, officers now, some officers now, they try to find a reason to arrest people. And that's not something that you should do. It's not something you can do. And this guy initially stopped for no reason at all, stopped for no reason. He cooperated. He was ID'd. ID came back negative. And then after they're searching his car, he says, you guys are, you know, really like digging through my car. When am I going to be free to go? The cop says, whatever you want. And then he grabs him to handcuff him. Then the next thing you know, the guy is tased a couple of times. I don't know who the white guy was with his ass crack showing, who wasn't in a uniform. And that's another thing. You get these do-gooders that think they're doing great in society. They're coming over to help police officers that are literally committing a crime at the time. Like, he looked like he was a regular civilian coming over, jumping in to help this cop violate someone's civil rights. And before you know it, the cop is telling the guy, you're bleeding your ass off. How the hell did that happen? You know what I mean? I'm flabbergasted. I'm troubled to see what police work has devolved into.
I want to check something real quick. Cause Marcus Diggs, I don't know if you were paying attention to what Derek just said, but he said 15, 20 years old, 20 years. I think he said we've been seeing this stuff on video. Did you say that, Derek? Yeah, I said we've seen the development over like the last 15, 20 years. Before that, there was no way to see it. Right. Okay. That's what I thought. But it says 15, 20 years, more like all my life. Really don't know what world you grew up in, Derek. Some stuff we have seen. Most of us would have never seen what happened to Rodney King if it wasn't for a video. It was, you know, we wouldn't have seen it if it wasn't for a video. We would have heard it happen, but we never would have seen it. I think that's where Derek was coming from when he said that. Karen Caffrey says, is this Orange County, New York or California? I don't know. I'm not sure. But if I could respond to Marcus personally, I would like to. So I'm give you 1 second to do that too. This is why civilians feel some kind of way about police encounters and hope for financial judgments. There is no excuse for that treatment. You're absolutely right, Karen Caffrey, and believe me, not only are we outraged about it, but there are police officers who are still working who are outraged about stuff like that. But let me go ahead, Derek. It's yours. So after him saying his whole life and he doesn't know where I grew up in first Bed-Stuy and then Hempstead most of my life. So all black neighborhoods all my life until I was in my 40s and purchased a house that wasn't in an all black neighborhood. So whoever you are, Marcus, I'm sure we grew up in very, very similar circumstances. The difference being, once I became a police officer, there were certain things that the white officers wouldn't do if I was there. So I was not privy to seeing this, and there were no videos. There were no videos. Things that happened that you didn't see, you just didn't see. White officers that mistreat minorities, they're not going to mistreat minorities when a strong minority is on the scene. So if a guy like me shows up or a guy like Donald shows up, they aren't doing that bullshit in front of us. So, you know, obviously you feel the way you feel, but there are certain things that I wouldn't see because they wouldn't do them in front of me.
And then once I become a supervisor, they're damn sure not going to do it in front of me. As a matter of fact, once I become a supervisor, they're not going to do the dumb shit if I'm working because I may show up on the scene. So obviously civilians and police officers are going to have a different take on things that happen. But again, I've seen a development for the last 15, 20 years. So whatever you've seen, you've seen. I'm good.
All right. All right. I knew he could handle his own. So give it to him. Look at Dave. What you saying, Dave?
He sure can. That's why Derek's my man.
Ain't no problem. Ain't no. I don't have to say a word on that. Just hand Derek the baton. Let him do what he gonna do. But let me get to D and then Will, and then D. I don't know if you can pull up the video with the Memphis police being acquitted. I don't know if y'all want to talk about that real quick, 'cause that's another annoying one right there. But go ahead. Let's go with D first. D, you give us your stuff first and go after Will.
I got you. Wow. Yeah. Derek can handle his own, so you can step up there if you want to. Give it a shot. I mean, if it makes you feel better. I just want to say two things as far as this video is concerned. Nervousness is not a reason to handcuff someone. This is close, very close. It's probably another episode of Lunch Money Victim, but because somebody is nervous, that doesn't mean you place them in the car, you put them in handcuffs. The articulation, because they said, he seemed nervous. That's why they did that. That's wrong. If he's going to run, if you got to detain him, all of those things are reasons to put him in handcuffs, but not nervousness. So it started off wrong. And let me say the second thing. Your gun, taser, sticks, pepper spray are not tools of compliance. We need to be very clear. If somebody doesn't do what you say, they pull a gun out. That's wrong. If somebody doesn't do what you say, they tase. That's wrong. For him to, while he wasn't putting his arms behind his back, and I saw that gun turn up and you tase him in the back like that, that's 100% wrong. Derek, you said you were a supervisor. Mark's in the room. Jim is in the room. All the supervisors in the room. I was a supervisor. That guy's gone. He is gone. No way in the world am I going to see that video. And there's no explanation for that. You're using your less lethal as a tool of compliance. And that's totally unethical, totally against anybody's policy. If you can tell me a policy in the country that's with, I'm probably going to end up going there. We're dealing with a lot of litigation right now. I will go there because that's a problem. We got people out there that are using their lethal and less lethal as the way they're going to get somebody to do what they want to do, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. I can count the times on two hands that my firearm was out of the holster in 32 years. Totally not necessary, and it was only out of the holster when there was another firearm there, and me or somebody else was going to get hurt. That's the only reason it should be out. The training has gotten to the place where, okay, now we have all this stuff on our belt, and the stuff on your belt you use to get compliance. I never did that. Anybody in the room help me out? I never did that. You complied or you complied. It was just two ways to go. There was no guns involved, no knives involved. You complied or you're going to comply. If my hands couldn't do it, well, my hands could usually do it, you're going to comply. And I think we got to start training people back to that. I understand we're in a new age. Everybody gets me on a new way of doing things. That's not it. That's why people are getting hurt. I'm not fighting anybody with a firearm or less lethal in my hands. I need my hands to fight. I can't. Right. I'm a one-armed bandit. Yeah, that's what I used to say in the beginning. Anytime the gun comes out, I'm one-armed bandit. So that mindset is a problem. And I think the newer law enforcement officers are, that's okay. If he doesn't do what I say, let me pull it out. Then I'll get him to do what I say. And it's from TV. That's from TV. Back when we were working, we used to see it on TV. Don't move. What? Don't, well, are you, I didn't see no gun. What you talking about? Don't move. Wait. We have gone, and I'm just going to say this because it just hit me. Guys, law enforcement officers, people watching, once I pull the gun out, there's nowhere else to go. You understand? When
You have reached the top level of escalation.
Level of it. Thank you for the words. There's nowhere else to go. The gun is out. I gotta shoot somebody. The taser's out. I gotta tase somebody. So you have to think of it. There are so many levels before that to get compliance. Now I know a lot of people don't comply, and if you're a lunch money victim, that's a problem for you. That would have never been a problem for me. It wouldn't have probably been a problem for anybody in this room. You don't want to comply, and many people not comply. That lasted a short period of time, and now you're going to comply, and the story. So I think we have to go back to the in this instance, the old school training, to where the gun was the last thing. We never even thought about our gun. Now it's the first thing. That's all I want to say.
Let me get Jim real quick. He had his hand up. Or you're good, Jim. What your hand was up.
I apologize for not seeing the video. I came on late, so I don't know exactly what you guys are referring to. But I do want to ask Dee a question on what he just said, because I was on a job so long ago. Tasers were not a reality. I mean, maybe we probably had slingshots. Rather. but what I thought one time I had asked about the use of tasers, that I thought that somebody mentioned that they were able to use them to get compliance in making an arrest. Is that right or wrong?
Okay, maybe I can explain if somebody else wants to jump in. So when you deploy your taser is twofold. Somebody else help me. The prongs go out, it hits the guy. But understand, I'm already at the taser level. I'm not trying to, you don't move over here, I'm going to tase you. That's not what I'm talking about. So by the time I deploy the taser, because you've done something that is worth being tasered, and the prongs
Which is
go
an
out.
arrest? Which is an arrest, Dee?
This is, okay, when we talked about levels.
Yeah.
You're being nervous, I'm not using the taser. You're not complying, I'm not using the taser. Right. If you're running, if you're trying to hurt somebody, if you're doing all of these other things, then I can use the taser. Now,
what about if you're running away from a legitimate arrest?
Yes, but we're 3 levels above what they were doing. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do now. Now I do, yeah.
Then you deploy it. If for some reason the prongs don't hit, or while we're going hands-on, you're still fighting, then there's a secondary, the front part of the taser, you can hit them up to 5 times with it.
Okay, I guess what my question was, and I get you answered it. My question was because people listening may think, hey, you know what? I don't have to comply at all. He can't tase me, even if he's trying to arrest me.
No.
Okay. All right, I'm good. Thank you.
But I think Mark wanted to add to that as well. Go ahead, Mark. I think that was a hand I saw.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell Jim, bring him up to date. So on the force continuum, it's above, or it's probably equal to punching somebody, and under using the baton, because the baton will actually do more damage. You may feel more pain with the taser. It may penetrate your skin depending on how it's used. Dee explained there's 2 ways to do it. But it's under that. So anytime you would go to put hands on somebody to say hit them with the baton, you could use a taser, and that's less lethal than the baton, because you can really jack somebody up with that. So if you think of the force continuum, where you're meeting resistance, you're 1 up, that's where the taser goes. So it's basically, instead of you punching the heck out of somebody, you would use the taser, but under the same circumstances. So in that instance where you just have a person who's nervous, you would never, first of all, you shouldn't be punching him, and you shouldn't be tasering him. And the fact that the guy pulled it back and went to deploy it using the prongs again, even if it was the right situation to use the taser, he used it the wrong way because there's no need to keep putting prongs in the guy. Once you do that, you now have to take him and get medical treatment because those prongs look like fish hooks and they get under the skin, and you're not supposed to pull them out. Some of these officers today, I could see them pulling them out, and maybe that's why the blood's going to be squirting out. But so anyway, that was my thing. And while I'm on here, I just wanted to say and add that we as cops, when we get pulled over, we get nervous. So to use a person's nervousness as guilt is ridiculous. And no good officer should ever determine, well, the guy is nervous, so he must be guilty. Mm-hmm. If I pulled over Don, he'd be nervous, even if he didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. And nowadays, seeing his videos, hell, we'd all be nervous, regardless. Mm-hmm. So you could take my hand down. That was all I had to say.
Okay, but you're right. You're right with what you said about that, Mark. I just want to read his comments real fast. Marcus Diggs says SOP. What is SOP? I'm not sure.
Standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
Okay, standard procedure in most jurisdictions. Be real for once. Nothing has changed since Floyd, and by some count, it's getting worse.
I'll say this to him. That doesn't happen everywhere. We see a lot of videos more than we should, but that doesn't happen everywhere, and that doesn't happen every day. There's millions of stops where police do the right thing. So don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted because you see these videos and you're thinking it's a daily occurrence everywhere. It's not.
Yeah, you're right, Mark. I had to explain it to my Bible study last night because I was there saying, listen, there's most cops are good cops. Most of them are good cops. I mean, I'm not going to sit up here and bash cops like they're all bad. That's not the case. Most of them are good cops, and that's why you call them. One of my members said this. She said, listen, why would you call them if you thought they were all so bad? You know, and she was right when she said that. He says, you're talking about pulling a deadly weapon, and everybody giggles. Well, first of all, no one talked about pulling a deadly weapon because a taser is not a deadly weapon.
Right.
So that's the first thing. So you got to understand what we're talking about when we're doing this conversation. But a taser is not a deadly weapon. Also, he says, the firearm was the only option before tasers unless you include nightsticks. That's not true.
Physical force. And you had mace.
And you had
physical
mace.
Force and mace. So the force continuum is verbal, physical. Well, at least when I was on the job, it was verbal, physical, mace, nightstick, gun. That was the force continuum. And then before I left patrol, they didn't come out with a taser. They came out with a stun gun. But the only people that had the stun guns were sergeants and above or people in emergency services. So then it went from verbal, physical, stun gun, mace first, then stun gun, then nightstick, and then gun. I was not around when the tasers came out.
Neither was I. So I can't even talk about taser. I don't know how taser feel. I don't want to know how taser feel. You know, I don't want to know. And I know in Hempstead, before you could use a taser, you had to feel what the taser felt like, right?
I got tased more than once.
Yeah, I heard it. I was like, I think that's a fair thing. If you're gonna use, except for a gun, if you're gonna use this thing, you need to at least have an idea what it feels like. The
amazing thing, if I could just add, the amazing thing is, as much pain as you feel, once the electricity stops, it's gone. There's no residual pain. Just the memory. Where, like, if I hit you with the nightstick, you're gonna be hurting for the rest of the night. If you get hit with the pepper spray, you're gonna be burning for the rest of the night. But if I hit you with the taser, a lot of pain, and then once it stops, it stops. Now, if I restart it, here comes the pain again.
Right, unless you fall incorrectly when you get tased. You can fall incorrectly and get injured from the fall as well.
Yeah.
Let me get through some of these comments, Marcus. I just want to get through them because I don't want to shortchange those who are online with us. Marcus says, you run, you get shot at. He then goes and says, let's start taking wages on whether or not those officers are acquitted. Richard Bowden responded to Marcus' statement, you know the firearm was the only option for tasers unless you so Richard Bowden says you forgot about the slapstick.
That fits in with the nightstick.
Yeah.
The slapper and the billy, they go hand in hand.
Okay. And Marcus says, Mark, it shouldn't happen at all. That was felonious by officers.
I agree. We all agree.
It was.
Okay.
We
All
all
right. Then it says daily occurrence anywhere is too much. And I think we all agree with that too.
Absolutely.
I
But
think
the thing is, you can't have people thinking that because they sit in videos, it's happening everywhere, every day. And that was
Right.
really the point. But we wouldn't be on here if we agreed with what you just saw. We wouldn't even be having this group.
Right.
Have this
Exactly.
group because we disagree with officers who were doing that. And we state it every Thursday.
Yep. Absolutely. Let me see what Richard Bowden also said earlier. He said, when I worked at Fort Gregg Adams, Virginia, then Fort Lee, the gate guards and Department of Army Police were trained to yell, stop resisting when using the baton. Okay. Let me get to some of you guys now. I got to the people online so they wouldn't say I was ignoring them, because I don't want to ignore them at all. But let me go to Will, Mark, Mark is out now. Dave, and Derek.
So when I was looking at this video, a couple of things came to mind for me. The first thing is, and y'all heard me mention this before, our profession was originated and created out of bias. Started with the slave patrols. So we are always going to be working uphill with regards to our perception. The people that we interact with, they typically don't seize on the desirable outcomes because that's what they expect. So that means the undesirable outcomes are the ones that stay at the forefront of their mind. So I completely understand where Mr. Diggs is coming from regarding his perception of law enforcement. What I saw in that video was, how many of you all have ever heard anybody that you work with say, that's one hell of an instinctive officer? Anybody ever heard somebody say that about an officer that they work with?
No.
Okay, well, I've heard it a number of occasions where an officer, instinctively, maybe he found drugs on somebody or whatever. But what I came to realize is when you act instinctively in this job, oftentimes it means that you ignore or deny people their rights. You get away from reasonable suspicion, probable cause. You get away from really being able to observe and speak on what your observations were that led you to your conclusion. So in other words, it's a fast track to bias similar to this situation. Now, these officers didn't have a reason for stopping him. The minute that he didn't show any indication, they should never even been asking to search his car. You didn't have a reason to stop him to begin with. When he asked them, could he leave, and they told him that he wanted to leave, that should have been received as tantamount to saying, I want you out of my car, because just like you can give consent, you can revoke consent. And unless the officers got something during that window of time, which they say, because I don't consider that he clearly gave consent the way that whole scenario played out. I can't imagine how any reasonable person would consider that to be voluntary consent. But when he asked if he could leave, that is tantamount to revoking any consent that you may have had beforehand. And since they didn't find anything, everything should have stopped right then and there. Now, from the perspective of what's going on nowadays, officers have always been trained to basically go on fishing expeditions. When you stop somebody on a traffic stop, why are you asking them where they're coming from and it's just for speeding? Because you're fishing. Why are you asking if they got any guns or any drugs in the car? Again, you're fishing, but you don't fish like that with everybody. Once again, now we're talking about the potential bias that comes into play. And it's disheartening because as former officers and folks that we know that are still on the job, it's this sort of thing that becomes overly representative of the job that we do, when all of us know that our positive deeds and positive outcomes far exceed these scenarios. And I'm good with that. I'm done.
I love hearing when so for those who don't know, Will was also a supervisor, lieutenant, and I love to hear when supervisors give their remarks. I mean, it's just like, you know, I really I love to hear how they explain it, how they articulate the law and what's going on. Mark, I see your hand. I got you, Dave.
I just got to jump in with you, Will. You know, the word, there were a few officers that were instinctive. Donald knows one. We had a sergeant. He wasn't fishing. He was riding around patrolling. And this guy was so observant. And he would find stuff, but that was just years of experience and just being in the right place at the right time and keen observation.
Yeah.
I'm sure even a guy like Dave, you know, with his background, there was no bias there. It was just keen observation. He would see stuff. The more you do it, and it's probably the problem nowadays is that term is used too loosely. But there were some officers that could go out there and find real criminals. And you don't find too many, but I got to stand up for the ones that I knew that are out there. So, you know, that's just me. But like I said, and Don can confirm, this one sergeant, that dude would find stuff on the middle of the midnight. Everybody's looks like they tucked away, and this dude's finding stuff. And we're like, yo, man, this guy's always on the spot. But like I said, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I just think the term is used too loosely, just like the term stop resisting is used too loosely. So I get you what you mean. And I'm just saying there are some instinctive officers.
Mark, let me just go with you. He was so instinctive in what he would, in the way he patrolled. He found me and another officer walking out the back door of Burgundy's. Burgundy's was like a club. He said, "Well, you know, you guys never called that you went inside." So he said, "You're really off post because you never called that you went inside." And we went inside just to look to see what was going on. He caught us from the back door. Like this guy had such an eye for anything. And so Mark he is right. If there was a crime going on, if it didn't look right, he found the problem.
Well, this sounds like a guy that had a high motive for a job and was very observant. Which
very.
I could understand that he could know the difference between checking doors at the back and one is slightly ajar. He's probably that type of guy. But when it comes to, like in this case, a traffic stop and the leading question that they were asking, that's not instinctive.
Sure.
Right. They went down this line of questioning, trying their best to find either a response. So you saw what they were doing. They were trying to actually provoke his nervous behavior and then utilize the justification to go after him with enforcement action. And it's not supposed to work that way. Mark, the description that you gave of that guy, I completely understand. He probably knows the neighborhood backwards and forwards. He's done foot patrols. He is more keen on his observation, I would say, than instinctive. And his observation says, I know that I see this and it's looked this way for X number of days, X number of weeks, and now it's different. There's a reason why it's different.
I agree with you, Will, and you're 100% right. And Donald pulled over a lot of people, and so did I. I've never asked anybody, you got any AK-47s? You got any? Never. If I thought you had it, then I had a reason to stop you, and then I deal with you that way. But for me to sit there and ask you, now I put you on alert. So if you do, now you're in panic mode.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mark. Marcus says the stop was illegal and every move after that.
Yep. Yep.
Marcus, you just won all of us on that one.
Yep.
Let me go with Dave and Derek.
Yeah, Derek answered the question about the taser and the stun gun because in robbery, when I was in robbery and homicide, we didn't have none of that. Okay, you went after somebody, you ID'd somebody, and you went after him. It was either your fist if he resisted, or a steady bunch of fists coming at him. Okay, and we didn't want to do it that way, but we have you identified. We got you ID'd on either video, eyewitnesses, and you just committed a A1 felony. You coming? We didn't have no tasers. Now we might have ESU backing us up, but they didn't go in first. You know, they didn't go in first, and yeah, and that damn mace shit that we used to have, we could put that shit on our food right now, and still fucking be all right breathing. Okay, that shit didn't work. You know what I mean?
I was dead.
I'm telling you, you know, it didn't work. That was like bullshit cayenne pepper. That ain't nothing.
Oh no. I was worked, Dave. I went on a call. I had to tell you this story real quick. I went on a call and I with another officer, and you know, the guy we're talking to was standing on the steps, and you know, he's going back and forth, and we got to get him up out of there. He's not responding the way he's supposed to respond. So I have my mace in my hand because, you know, last thing I want to do is swing on someone unless I had to swing on him. So I would use my mace. Have my mace, man. I sprayed him with my mace, and he had on glasses like you, Dave. And I hit the glass. It ricocheted off the glasses. It hit me right back in my eye. Our mace worked. Because I was out of it, and I had to tell the other officer, "You got to take him because I can't see anything."
It seemed like every time I went to that range, they would change out our mace, man. I was like, "Why are you changing the mace now?" Because we have some scenarios where the mace didn't work on this guy, that guy. Derek, I did see back in the day. I did see an experimental 103 sergeant for the 103. He had a taser. I don't know if it was experimental at that time or what, but he hit Mitch Green with it 5 times at that gas station on the Grand Central Parkway. When Mitch Green was high as a kite, taking people's money and pumping gas.
Dave, please tell them how big Mitch Green was in person. He was huge.
That's something. Mitch Green, 6'5", at least 240, 250, legit if he wasn't in shape, 260, 270. Okay?
Yeah.
And Mitch Green was like a 4-time Gold Glove champion. The boy could fight until he got on them drugs. You know what I mean?
He hurt you by mistake.
Yeah. But
yeah, he was professional, Jerry. I know you was like doing like this. He was a professional boxer.
He was never a cop fighter though. Okay, people think, oh, Mitch Green. No, he wasn't. That sergeant hit him 5 times with a taser, and he sent my ass to the Queens General Hospital to get the security guard there, Bam Bam Pearson, one of his sparring partners, who was a security guard. Yo, can you come calm the son bitch down so we can take him to the hospital, get him checked out? Yeah, I'll be right there. Come on. Yeah, that's how big his fist, Derek, were like tires.
Oh yeah, it looked like 2 hands. It looked like this. One fist looked like that.
Yeah, his fist was like tires, man. But once he calmed down off that shit, he was all right for a minute. Yep. But yeah, they hit him 5 times. He pulled him out himself, bleeding everywhere. He didn't care. Wow. Yeah, man. But you know, most of the time we didn't. NYPD, man, the supervisors had to either the taser or the stun gun. We had to we just had to win the fight. Shit, we didn't have all that.
Look at
you. You know.
Listen, Richard Bowden states, and I don't know if this is a joke, and I don't know. Sometimes I'll ask cops if they've been drinking, if I could see their ID, if they have illegal drugs in their car. That's definitely picking a fight. And even today, I ain't asking the cop nothing. You know, I'm trying to get out of this whole conversation. If a cop pulls me over, I want as little conversation as possible, and I want to get out of there as fast as I can. And that's the day. And for the most part, I don't have problems. I don't have problems with police officers, but I don't feel like sitting around there talking to you. You know, I got this post I put on Facebook. I say this real fast. I'm coming to you, Derek and Ty. I got this, you know, when these cops go to a person's house, they're knocking on the door, says is Donald home? No, we just want. What do you want? We just want to talk. You just want to talk. What do you want to talk about? Well, we just want to talk. Well, how many of you are out there? 2 of you. Well, you talk to each other. All you want to do is talk to each other because I ain't opening up this door, you know. And that's how I really feel. I don't feel like talking to the police. I really don't. If I do, it's got to be in a real controlled environment. Not on no parkway, not someplace where you can say I did this or I did that. No, I don't want to talk like that. And I've never wanted to talk to police like that. So, you know, that's how I am. Let me get Derek and Ty.
All right. Now, I wanted to get back to, I think it was Mr. Diggs again who said, if you run, you get shot. So let me just run some numbers across for you. There are 75 police precincts in New York City. There are 12 transit districts. There are 9 housing PSAs, and there are countless specialized units. Now, each one of your main commands has about 200 to 250 people in them. Your specialized units probably have a little less, maybe like 100. So on any given day in New York City, you probably have 20,000 people working. If there's 1% of people that run each day, we're looking at 200 people, 2,000 people running. You know what I mean? You don't get shot when you run. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. It's completely fucking stupid. Completely. All right? There's probably, no lie, there's probably 2,000 people running a day. How often do you hear about a New York City police officer shooting someone? 4 or 5 times a year, maybe? It's not you run if you get shot. Okay, now, I'm not going to say cops don't do a lot of dumb stuff, but you kind of have to like measure what you're thinking versus what you're saying. Because some of the things you're thinking, when they come out, they sound stupid. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to sound stupid on here. Now, another thing I'll say is the diction in police work has changed to try to make things sound more palatable. And it's unfortunate because you'll hear a cop tell his supervisor, or you'll hear a cop on the stand say, oh, well, you know, I utilized a series of closed hand strikes. That means you punch the motherfucker in the face. That's what it means, right? But they try to change the diction around to make things sound more palatable. And I don't like that, but that's another one of the ways police work has changed. Back in the day, you punch somebody in the face. Now you utilize a series of closed hand strikes. You know what I mean? So things have changed. They change to make them sound better in court and on reports. But the real deal is people are still getting jacked up the same way. And that's it.
Woo! All right. Marcus says, I heard that from all of you here on roll call. I said, Derek, I heard all that from all you on roll call. Just saying. Well, listen, we say it because we're trying to prevent a lot of this stuff. That's one thing. We're trying to cry out against brutality and inequities and inequalities. We're trying to cry out against that, not support it. So if you hear us say something that may sound like we're supporting it, it's because we don't think that the cop was doing something wrong at that particular time or in that instance. That may be the reason why we're saying it at that time.
And he's never heard any of us say that if someone runs, they get shot. I did over 27 years on New York City Police Department between transit and NYPD. I have never shot my gun on duty. I've shot my gun at the range. I have never shot my gun on duty. I have not had my gun out of the holster 10 times. I definitely, if I hold up both hands, I didn't have it out of the holster that many times in all the years I was on the job. If you don't use your gun as a tool of compliance, you don't need to pull it. You deal with people, most of the people that officers deal with on a daily basis, more than 99% of the people you deal with are good people. And occasionally you come across somebody that's committing a crime or they're a criminal. But most of the people are good people, and most people are treated as such. Now, I'm not going to say there's not some screwed up cops that do some crappy, stupid stuff in our neighborhoods, because when they're going to do crappy, stupid stuff, it's going to be in our neighborhoods. It's not going to be in Jim's neighborhood. It's going to be in our neighborhoods. Because in Jim's neighborhood, there's going to be attorneys. There's going to be people that write letters. They'll write letters to congressmen. They'll write letters to mayors. In our neighborhoods, we don't do that. We eat it. We eat it. We complain about it. We stand across the street. We make a bunch of noise while the cops are dealing with other people. We call them suckers and punks and faggots, and we move on. But in predominantly white neighborhoods, they'll get on the horn, they'll write letters, they'll put a stop to it. That's what we need to do. Instead of being on here criticizing people that are trying to tell you how things really work.
And I'm a letter writer. Marcus says, this one's to me now. You may cause more than you prevent, Rev. I don't know what that meant. And I think Will just asked, please explain. He says, I've been following since Floyd. You'd be surprised what you said. Help me out now.
I think what he was commenting on when he responded and used you, I had wrote something to him. I said, Marcus, the fact that it does happen way too often is one of the main reasons this group conducts this weekly show. Okay. A lot of these situations are completely indefensible, and we will call a spade a spade. However, there are occasions when people have emotional reactions to undesirable outcomes and then look for someone to blame rather than vet the why. And suffice it to say, if law enforcement's involved, there's unfortunately a higher than normal risk that there's going to be an undesirable outcome. We don't get the luxury of doing the job with white gloves on. But
that's true.
We need to let the actions of the people that we're dealing with and the facts that are available to us dictate our movements and our judgments. And I completely understand where Marcus is coming from. As I said before, removing bias out of our profession, I don't know when that's going to happen.
Never.
I don't know that it's ever going to happen. But as what we do and what we represent, we standing on business. Like I said, if they're wrong, they're wrong. If there is a perspective that the public can't see because they've never walked the beat or done our job, then that's what we're here for, to try to build that bridge and connect the dots. We're not justifying anyone's actions. We're trying to get people to understand and be objective about everything leading up to the outcome.
Absolutely. Richard Bowden, he corrected me as well. Wait, 1 second, Dave. Richard corrected me as well from something I stated earlier. It says, Donald, I don't do it if I get pulled over. Then it's sir and ma'am. Okay. I got it. And I'm with you 100%. But what are you saying, Dave? And we get to tie him off.
Just going to say real briefly, and the height of our careers, even when you was on transit with Derek and everybody on NYPD in transit, we had 39,000 cops on that job, and we're 39,000 angels. Right. You're not going to get a perfect job.
And with that many cops, there was not 39,000 shots fired every year either.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
I mean, we just one a day. We just didn't have that much. So I understand the perception that people see or what they think they see because of TV and the news. It looks like every time a cop goes out, well, and TV shows, every time a cop went to work, when you watch a TV show or a police show, there's a shooting every show. But that's not police work. That's TV.
Right.
In real life, that doesn't happen. Derek said that he's never fired his gun on duty. I have, but it was never at a person. I fired mine at pit bulls and missed.
Fired mine at a windshield.
I'm running. I told you the story. We go back. I'm going with the dog pound. We're going to 108 Grove Street. I'll say it. We go there. We look up there. There's about 8 pit bulls at the top of the escalator. I'm like, oh my goodness. I look. The dog catcher, he's already gone. Now I'm left there by myself. So I start running, and I'm running after him. Next thing you know, I hear pitter-pat, pitter-pat, pitter-pat. Man, these dogs are on my tail. I just pulled my gun out and just backwards. I didn't even look. How? They stopped. I kept going. And that was the only time I fired my weapon outside of the range. You know, so when someone asked me, do you fire your weapon outside the range? I said, yes, I have. And I missed. There was about 6 or 7 pit bulls that time. I ain't hit one of them.
I was trying to figure out why I got that hole in my ass all the way in Freeport.
Dave, I was so scared. And then I was scared and mad at the same time. I'm scared because these pits are right on me. I'm mad because the dog catcher beat me to the car. You know, so at that time, seriously, I was a serious runner. I mean, I was a runner. He was already gone. He knew danger was coming. He was going, and he didn't warn me. He left me there. Ty and Mark.
So I want to reiterate what Don always has said since we started this presentation, that when you get pulled over by the police, don't do what the gentleman said. I'm glad he clarified that he only does that, doesn't do it in person. Like, don't ask the cop questions. Say as least as possible.
Yeah,
the object is to get to survive that stop and then make your complaints later at the station. So I want to make sure. But he already came back and said that he'll do certain times. And the other part, I'm going to say, never mind. Derek addressed exactly what I want to address. I know I could have done that good, Derek. So thank you, bro. I'm going to address exactly what you say. That's ridiculous, man. Thank you. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Mark.
Yeah. So, everybody's talking about shooting. I had a situation where I'm chasing a guy. He turned, took a shot at me. Later on, well, not later on, but I continued chasing him. Next thing you know, he pops up behind the garage. The situation changed because luckily, I saw that he no longer had a gun in his hand. So I didn't shoot. So as police officers, even if somebody took a shot at you, the situation may change where you can't now use deadly physical force because he did it 1 or 2 minutes earlier. Okay. And that's where you're going to have good police work. I ended up locking him up. I ended up going back, recovering the gun where he ditched it. And then I ended up saving his ass because there was an angry crowd also chasing him because he was involved in a shooting earlier that night. So as police officers, it's not like television where it's just one thing happens and then this happens and this happens. It's all choreographed. Things can change. And like I said, the last thing I wanted to do is run into Kyle and then have her ask me, well, did he have the gun when you shot him? And then it would have been no. Then you were no longer in danger. Why'd you shoot him? Oh, well, because he shot at me earlier. That wouldn't work. I'd see a very mad Kyle shaking her head. You talked about bias in the police department. There's bias everywhere. There's judges who have sentenced 2 people, one black, one white. Totally different penalties for the same crime. We see it all the time. Okay, it's not just inherent in the police department. These videos are put out there, and we also get kind of brainwashed thinking that it's happening everywhere and everybody's doing it, and that is not the case. And we have to fight against that. Derek gave great statistics on the amount of people who are not shot who are running away, which just goes to show you there's a much larger group of people who are police officers who are not doing wrong than ones that are doing wrong. And whether it's because they're not biased, whether it's just because they want to keep their job and they don't want to face Kyle doing her job and putting them in jail, whatever the case is, okay, the numbers aren't even close.
All right. Well, I'm giving Marcus a whole lot of attention today, and I'm kind of enjoying this because Marcus says when I gave my story about the dogs, Marcus said it should have gotten bit. But to me, I mean, I just find that kind of funny. But anyway, this is what he also goes on and says, he said, Will, I've been following for years, and I've heard plenty of BS repeated over and over. Look at this forum. Maybe you need a laugh track. Lot of thin skin around here. There's not a person on this show that I know that have thin skin, but especially, and let me just say this, and I'm gonna say this since that's what we're on. Marcus, you're here every week trying to get something started, and guess what? We don't really care. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're one out of a whole bunch of people that listen to us that you say some foolish stuff and we just entertain it. And, you know, I don't wish anyone to get bit, but, you know, if that's how you feel, fine. I didn't get bit, and I'm okay today, and I'm fine today, and I'm running this show today, and you're on the other end listening to me. So I guess you don't have anything else to do. You know, but you know, Donald. I mean, bro. You know, and I just feel I felt like this, and I want him to keep on coming with it because I can guarantee you, Marcus, whatever you come up with, someone on here will come back and tear it apart. So let's go. All right. You know, and let me just say this to those who are listening to us. That is not how I wanted to respond to it. But he keeps digging into it. I guess that's why his last name is Diggs, because he keeps digging into it. He keeps coming with stuff that just doesn't make any sense at all. We will be irresponsible to say all police officers are crooked. Everyone that runs gets shot. That would be irresponsible for us to say that. And so you're not going to get us to say something like that at all. We're not going to jump on that bandwagon. Do we have a problem with some police work? Yes, we do. But do we have a problem with all police officers? No, we don't. Most of us still have family members that are police officers, loved ones that are police officers, friends that are police officers. I mean, good friends that are police officers. We are not trying to condemn the occupation. We are trying to condemn those who use the occupation the wrong way, though. We're definitely going to speak out against that. Marcus says, that's too sad because you use the wrong your. It should have been your, but you said your apostrophe R-E. But I'm gonna go with your. That's too sad because your first show was done with a sense of mission, but shame the devil because you really never. Really never cared. Oh. Okay, now you know how we feel. All right, well, since we never cared, you must care enough to keep coming back on here. Let's see when you stop caring. Okay, let's see who's next. Okay, I'm not going. All right, y'all, I'm not going to entertain it no more. I'm done with it. Okay, I'm done with it. D, what we have? Anything else?
You wanted to you wanted a video on the Tyre Nichols trial? Is that what you wanted?
Sure. Yes, something with that because that was very annoying to me.
Gotcha.
That we got to watch a video, and I think Kyle said it earlier. Yes, we saw the Rodney King video and knew it happened, but would you have believed it if you didn't see it?
Right.
And we had a chance again to see this what happened in Memphis, and these cops got acquitted.
Yeah.
Now these cops look like us.
Let's take a look.
We are following some breaking news. 3 former Memphis police officers have just been found not guilty on all charges in the state trial over the beating death of Tyre Nichols.
The jury reaching that verdict on just the second day of deliberations. Let's get right to NBC News correspondent George Solis. He's been tracking this. He joins us now. George, take us through the verdict and the reaction inside the court.
Yeah, this verdict was unanimous over the course of 2 days after a trial had started Back on April 28th, the jury coming back and delivering a not guilty verdict for all of the 7 counts in this indictment. They are as followed. The most serious, of course, being that second-degree murder charge. You heard the jury there saying not guilty for Demetrius Haley, Tadarius Bean, and Justice Smith. On count 2 for the aggravated assault act in concert, not guilty. For count 3, aggravated kidnapping, not guilty. Count 4, aggravated kidnapping, not guilty. Count 5, official misconduct. And then count 6, which was another count of official misconduct, both not guilty. And then count 7, that official oppression charge, also found not guilty. Within the courtroom, you saw a number of hugs that were taking place, obviously, from the officers. They're the former officers, their elation on their faces after this verdict was read. Again, these 3 officers still face the prospect of years in prison after they were convicted in federal court of charges last year. Again, these were for the state charges. Some more reaction coming in forthcoming. We are waiting to hear from attorney Bent Crump, who we understand also put out a statement shortly after this verdict was read. We'll go ahead and get that to you. We have not heard at this point if there's any reaction from the mother of Tyre Nichols, who was one of the state's witnesses in this case. Very emotional, again, during this trial that began back on April 28th. Pretty quick turnaround when you consider how much this jury was charged with, going down this list of charges. 21 counts between the 3 officers overall. But again, at this hour, the 7-count indictment, the jury coming back finding not guilty for all of these charges. And again, we'll wait to see what the sentencing is for those federal charges. Again, this story is developing over the course of this case, guys. I should note there were 21 witnesses brought in total. The state only bringing up 5, including Tyre Nichols' mother. Defense bringing 17 witnesses to this case. Again, reaction still forthcoming, and we're waiting to see if the former officers have any reaction post this verdict, guys.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news.
All right. We got Jim and Derek.
Okay, generally speaking, at least for years in my experience, is that the state charges would have been done first and then federal charges second. So this was a little different, where they pled out to the federal charges and then were found not guilty at the state level. My curiosity is going to be what their sentence at the federal level is going to be, and if our friend in the White House decides to pardon them. My fear, and you guys know this well enough, is for a long time I've been preaching that the lack of federal oversight is going to be the downfall of our local police departments. This is the type of incident that I always refer to. Not necessarily this particular case, but this particular type of incident where you're not guilty at the state level and there is no federal intervention, investigation, or criminal charges. I mean, that's just a free pass. I mean, even if you go all the way back to Rodney King, the Rodney King original officers were all found not guilty at the state level. And then they were all convicted at the federal level and did time and whatever happened to them. I don't recall all the things. But, you know, that's the way things have been from that moment to now. So I'm going to be very curious to see how these state charges these federal charges are handled all the way through.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jim. Derek?
Yeah, just this is just like another piece of evidence that the wheels of justice turn differently for Black people versus white people. And the wheels of justice also turn differently for cops versus civilians. And if you happen to be a Black cop, the wheels of justice will turn in your favor versus a Black civilian, for the most part anyway. It's evident. I mean, clearly these guys are guilty. These crimes were committed on video, and I call them crimes because that's what they were. The crimes were committed on video. And again, you know, we have a jury telling us that our lying eyes didn't see what they saw. And that's it.
Okay. Richard Bowden says, I was in Tennessee when the verdict came in. The DA definitely phoned that one in. How were they not guilty of official misconduct?
Right.
You know, something. I mean, this Even though I don't even know if they were even charged with that, but it's just heartening that you would see. Here we are looking at a video. We're looking at a video of what's taking place, and not guilty. I got Dave and Mark. You're on mute, Dave.
I'm gonna have to get a little raw. Here, but you know, if you're a cop in a red state and you happen to be black, they love your fucking ass. Okay, those white juries love you. Those white folks down in the red states, those Trumpers love you because you're a cop in a red state. You happen to be black. Okay, I know that's true. My late mom was from Andalusia, Alabama. My dad, Earhart, South Carolina, man. Okay, I've been down to South Carolina to bring people back. They love those brothers down there in uniform. Okay, even if they had to whoop somebody's ass, they still love them. Okay, but I'm just saying, man, that's bullshit. We all know it is. Video and audio don't lie. We know what we saw, and we know we know what we heard. That young man screaming for his mother. Okay, and that's what that man died, and then they leave him there high-fiving each other as he's dying out, which really got me. Even the EMS personnel were a little bit stunned. You can see when they showed up, it was like, okay, well, okay, all right, you know, he's dying and you're high-fiving. I'm telling you, man, those states, man, Tennessee, all of them, Kentucky, yup. Alabama, South Carolina. Yeah, I said South Carolina. I got it right to say South Carolina. My dad was from down there. My dad never drove a fucking car after the age of 15 for what they did to him down there. White woman accused him of hitting a car, kidnapped him for a fucking week and tortured him in jail. Never drove a car ever again. Okay? And my mother said he used to buy me all of my cars, but he would never drive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it stuck to him mentally. You know, so I'm just saying, man. If you one of them good old boy brothers down in these departments, man, going around beating up everybody's ass, they love you down there. They love you. And by the way, I'm not changing my mind. That female chief who put that goon squad together, her ass needs to be fired in jail too. I'm done.
All right, let me get one thing on Mark. Karen Caffey says, who goes to Chattanooga to find jurors? Dave answered perfectly. Shades of George Floyd. The Rodney King state trial verdicts in 1992 led to the civil unrest. Federal verdicts came in 1993. Many of us breathed a sigh of relief for federal verdicts, which is what Jim was talking about. Richard Bowden says that in the Rodney King case, at the state level, the defense attorneys played the video of the beating at slow motion. Mm-hmm. At slow motion, the blows don't appear to be bad. They use a visual illusion to get the cops off.
Wow.
That's, you know, and that does make sense. Because if you slow it down, it doesn't look bad.
Yeah. Until you saw his face, until you saw his injuries afterwards live.
Well, then you saw those injuries. Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. With, you know, back then they got off. They basically got off of beating Rodney King. We know that. See, and what bothers me more is we know O.J. Simpson was guilty as shit too, but he had the money for that team to beat their system. We wasn't cheering for him. Oh, he's a black man. He's a bro. No, he had the money to beat that system.
He beat him at their own game.
That's the greatest defense team ever assembled. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's what they were pissed off. But they wasn't pissed off. Oh, he killed his ex-wife and all that. He killed Robert Goldman and all that. How did this Negro beat us?
But you see, he could only do it once.
He embarrassed the damn judge.
He could only do it once because Vegas got him.
Thought his ex-wife was going to lie. Thought his ex-wife was going to come and tell on him. Yeah, he used to beat her in Buffalo. But she ain't telling on the father of her kids for y'all. Come on. Yeah. You got the money. You get the best lawyers. You got a shot. You ain't got no. If you innocent, you don't have a lot of money for good lawyers. You're fucked. Period.
All right, Mark, you're up.
Yeah, I agree with what everybody's saying. Kyle can back me up on it. It's when you get to court, it's not always who's right and who's wrong. It's who can prove their point to the jurors. And if you put on a better show than the other person, that's what happens. Back to the shooting where the guy took a shot at me. The defense attorney for the young man painted such a picture that this guy was, abandoned by his family and he had to live in this and all these things, that the jury no longer looked at what he did, which was take a shot at me, which could have killed me. They looked at how pitiful his life was. And it was all but one person in the jury, because I was told later on, because the ADA told me, he said, "You sure you want to go to court on this?" Because he's willing to take a plea. And I'm like, "No, I'm not. The guy could have killed me." He says, "All right, but I'm gonna let you know now. You never know with a jury." And I really didn't understand what he was saying until afterwards. And they told me that if it wasn't for the one fireman who was on the jury that was like, "Hey, wait, time out. Okay, this guy had a bad life, but he almost killed somebody. Okay, and we're losing focus on that. We're here because this guy took a shot at a uniformed police officer who he knew was chasing him for a shooting that he did earlier that night. So this guy had no problems using that gun. And there, before the grace of God, he got arrested and wasn't shot. And the officer did everything right, locked him up, brought him to court. Guy wasn't beat up. Like I said, I had to save him from the angry crowd from the shooting earlier. And guess what? They were going to let him go because they felt sorry. So I say all that to say when it comes to a jury, it's not like television once again. It's justice does not always happen in the courtroom. And just like Dave said, if you got a good attorney, he's got a good strategy, and you got the right people in the jury, you can get acquitted. And let me just say this before anybody else puts in anything else in Facebook. We're not saying we agree with the verdict. We're just stating the obvious that once you get to court, the right thing doesn't always happen.
No.
All right. Karen Caffey says George Holiday came to our church after the Rodney King video was released. He was a quiet man whose life was turned upside down because he filmed the truth. OJ's first wife never told what her life was like. LA juries seem to be starstruck in so many cases, even mock juries. Okay, now Karen is Karen is in California. Her mother is Ruth Caffey that goes to my church. So just didn't want you to get your girls mixed up, Dave. All right. Listen, we're coming to an end. We're coming to an end, and we thank you. We thank you guys so much. All right. Anybody have anything else before we start looking for the good boy video? I know you got something over there, don't you, D? I figured you got something. If you didn't, Kyle's gonna knock you upside your head because that's Kyle's initiative. You know, this Kyle's like end on a good note. Anybody with anything before we go?
No.
All right. D, get with our video and we'll go from there.
All right, this is our quiet storm moment for today.
Get fire wrong.
Can you see anything in his mouth? Can you open your mouth? I can't really see. He was eating a tomato, bro. Can you see the scoop? Oh, so he's talking. Are you okay? He's got something stuck in his throat. Can you open your mouth for me, buddy?
Yep, there you go. Spit it out. Spit it out.
To the child who's coughing it up right now. You okay, bud? You put him over here. Put him over here.
Talk to your knee.
Yeah.
I'm on the phone with 911.
Come on, bud. Yeah, I fired. You okay, buddy?
I can't see.
You with me, bud? He's breathing.
Yeah, he's breathing. He's making noise. So he's breathing. So relax, buddy.
You all right, bud? Spit it out if you can, okay?
There it goes.
There it is. There it is. Hey, bud. Yeah, affirmative. You all right? Okay. You good? It was a little tomato. Yeah. Where? Yeah. See, it's right there.
Yeah.
Oh my! I mean,
For
Jim. Go
everyone,
ahead, Jim.
everyone listening out there, that's what police work is all about. What you just saw.
And I can bet you every last one of our hearts felt that. I mean, well, first of all, when it comes down to kids, I'm telling you right now, I'm a wimp when it comes down to kids because I love kids. I do all I could do for kids. My church has an initiative right now where we're just collecting money for St. Jude and Ronald McDonald's house. We're doing that just to support and help offset some of the costs that parents have to deal with when they have to deal with their children being sick. You know, when you have a child that's going through something, it hurts when you can't do anything to help them. You know, so that right there, I appreciate that one, D. And D, go ahead. You see your hand is up.
Yeah, real quick. I just want to say something real quick. We're going to get out of here by 4:30. Just real quick. Don't teach your kids to be afraid of cops, because when you're there, you may make a decision. They might not run toward those police officers and tell them there's something wrong. And I want you to think of what you've done. I know what we see. We don't like things that we see, and we start to teach. And kids hear what you say. And I get it. I get it. You're upset. You want them to be upset. But at the end of the day, all right, when you look at the light at the end of the tunnel, you want your kids to run toward that police officer. I don't care what the situation is. Because other things we can talk about that we cannot come back from. Now, I don't know. I don't want to be the parent. I'm not a parent, but I don't want to be the parent that told my kid, stay away from those cops. And the inevitable happened. I don't know whether you can live with yourself. I can't live with myself if I know that you did that. So I don't know how you live with yourself. Okay, done.
Well, my kids are grown, but I do have grandkids, and I would tell my granddaughters, listen, if you have a problem, you tell the police, you go to the police. I'm still at the place where I still trust the police enough to take care and make sure my child is okay. So I'm not where I've lost all faith in police. So I know there are people out there that feel that way, and I'm glad you said that too, D. Because I was saying in my mind, I'm simply saying, I wonder when this kid really comes to himself, is he going to try to run from this police officer? But he actually embraced that police officer.
Yeah.
You know, he actually embraced that police officer.
Yeah.
You know. So, all right. Well, listen, I think that's it. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you for your participation. Jerry, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We go. I'm telling y'all, we're gonna get Jerry out of this. Jerry gonna host us one day.
Don, he's wearing a roll call shirt.
Yeah, Don, what you got to say? Will, what you got to say? Cheech, what you got on this, Cheech? All right, Ty. So get ready, Jerry. Get ready. She said, "You must be crazy." All right. Thank you to those on roll call. Thank you so much for joining us. Excuse me today. I allowed someone to pull me out. And I don't like doing that. I try to keep it right the whole time. But sometimes, you know, people just go just a little bit too far. And so
But
sometimes
Donald, you're human too, darling. You're human too.
and sometimes you just have to check some stuff. You know, you just have to put it in its place. Matter of fact, if you listen to me in a couple of weeks, I'll be speaking about in a sermon where Peter, the Apostle Peter and the Apostle Paul got into it. And I give you a heads up real quick. Peter actually did something that was hypocritical, and Paul checked him where he did it. Listen, it's interesting. It's real interesting. But I say to say this, that sometimes you have to check people right where they are. You know, if you know anything about dog training, you cannot spank a dog for peeing on your floor when you come home from work, because they don't know what you're spanking them for or what you discipline them for. You have to check an animal right where they make the errors, and that's how correction is made at the time the error is made.
If I can, real quick, I know our time is tight, but for our listeners out there, I hope they understand. We don't have a problem making ourselves vulnerable to comments and critiques about law enforcement all across the country.
Mm-hmm.
We are not every law enforcement officer in every uniform wearing every badge at every agency, state, local, or whatever. We are not all those. We are a representation, and in my humble estimation, a very fine representation. Probably the one word that comes to mind, whether our listeners or listener wants to acknowledge it for us, is objectivity. And on top of that, the totality of the circumstances as they are available to us.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that they understand, if we are having fun with something or laughing with something, you know, in the context of the situation, it may be a bad situation, but you have to understand from the standpoint of cops, from context of the situation, there may be a reason why it's funny to us, because we can relate to something else. But the long and short of it is, you're not going to drive us away, because we have a platform to try to help bridge the gap between a lot of misunderstandings between our profession and the public, and to try to find a way to move beyond some of this systemic and historical divide. So that's what we're here for.
Thank you, Will. And Will, listen, Will has only been on the panel for a few months, but he's been on the show for probably a couple of years. So he knows what we do. He knows how we do it. And again, thank you so much. And I'm telling y'all right now, I'm not gonna allow that to happen no more. I'm not really apologizing. I'm really not, because I said what I meant, and I meant what I said. So I'm not apologizing. I'm just saying that was just out of my character, and I don't want to do that. Again, I think I saw something from one of our own panels, Richard Jordan. More good cops doing the right things and saving lives. Thank you, Rich, and we're praying for Isabel even right now. Let us pray. God, our Father, we thank you, we praise you, we give you the honor and the glory. We thank you for Roll Call Black, White, and Blue for Better Relations. We thank you for those who listen to us each and every Thursday. And we're praying to God for every family that's here on today, those who are on the panel and those who are on live, on Facebook Live and YouTube with us. We're praying to God you will bless us and keep us. We're praying for those who are sick, those who are shut in, those who are grieved by the hands of death. We lift up Isabel Jordan right now, where her husband is by her side. And I pray that everything is well and will be well. We thank you now, and we pray to God that everything will be well until we meet again. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.